I never imagined coming home to find the locks changed and my mother standing there, her face cold as stone. I stood on the porch of our small-town bungalow, clutching my backpack, the one still tagged from my trip to Colorado to see my cousin for the first time in ages. It was meant to be a break, a chance to breathe. I expected to walk into our cozy living room, maybe find a few dishes in the sink or a light left on by mistake. Instead, I got my mother, Ellen, slamming the door before I could even speak, and my husband, Ethan, silent behind her. I stared at the door, waiting for it to swing open, for this to be some mistake. It didn't. Ellen, I called, my voice soft, not wanting the neighbors to hear. I saw the blinds twitch. Ethan was there. He had to be, but no one answered. The house was ours, bought with my father before his heart gave out too soon. Every corner held our story. My first bike ride in the driveway, the creaky porch swing where Dad taught me to count stars. Now I was locked out, a stranger in my own life. Ellen's voice cut through the door, sharp and final. "We need space, Mia. You said we could settle in, and it's better if you stay with Sarah for now." My stomach dropped. I never agreed to that. Ethan? I tried, my voice breaking. Nothing. He couldn't even face me. I turned, the weight of 34 years pressing down, my backpack heavier with every step away from the porch. I didn't know where to go, just that I couldn't stay there, begging. It wasn't just a locked door. It was the kind of silence that steals your breath, the kind you feel when the man who vowed to love you forever stands quiet while his mother wipes you away like a smudge. I called a cab, gave Sarah's address, my hands shaking so bad I could barely type. Sarah didn't ask questions. She just opened her door, pulled me into a hug, and handed me a coffee so strong it burned my tongue. I didn't mind. It woke me up, made me feel something. I left them a key, I whispered later, staring into the mug. I thought I could trust him. Sarah stayed quiet, her silence kinder than words. What do you call it when your own family steals your home with a smile and your husband's silence as their weapon? You call it betrayal. You call it a door slammed on the life you built. That night, on Sarah's lumpy sofa, staring at her cracked ceiling, I made a vow. They might have locked me out, but they'd regret thinking I'd stay gone. Just a week ago, I stood in our kitchen, sipping peppermint tea, watching the steam rise toward the ceiling fan. The radio played softly, an old country tune, everything familiar, safe. I had no idea that across our little town of Willow Creek, my husband was in an office, signing papers with my name forged on them. That morning felt too still. After breakfast, I noticed something off. The folder in my desk, the one with our mortgage, deed, and insurance papers, was out of place. Not gone, just moved, edges slightly bent. I frowned, brushing my fingers over the papers. Ethan had been over the day before with the kids, asking to use my laptop for work stuff. I'd made him pancakes, laughed when he said, "Mia, you still make the best breakfast," his grin disarming, the one that always softened me. I didn't think twice about the folder then. I brushed it off, told myself I was being paranoid. Ellen's voice echoed in my head, little jabs she'd made lately. "Maybe you need a planner, Mia. You're always forgetting things." They were laying traps, and I was too trusting to see it. I spent that day organizing the pantry, planning a grocery list, tidying the garage. I didn't check the desk again. Why would I? I believed Ethan would never betray me. I didn't know he'd already filed a deed transfer at the county office, my signature faked, notarized by some friend of Ellen's. They were plotting to claim the house, and I was in the kitchen, oblivious, stirring tea. It didn't feel real at first. I walked into the bank with my blue folder, just needing a mortgage statement. Simple. The teller smiled, typed then froze. Her pause stretched too long. She squinted at her screen, then said, "Ms. Harper, it seems the property's ownership has changed. We can't release those records to you." My heart stopped. What? She tilted her monitor, as if showing me the truth would hurt less. The screen blurred, but the names were clear. New owner, Ethan Harper, co-signer, Ellen Harper. My name, gone. My hands went numb. "That's impossible," I whispered. "This is my house." My dad and he's gone now, but we bought it together. I never signed anything. Even as I said it, I remembered the folder, Ethan asking for my ID to scan something quick. I'd handed it over, no questions. I need to speak to someone, I said, gripping the counter. The teller nodded, calling a manager named Greg. I sat in a stiff chair, the air conditioning humming, my reflection in the glass table showing a woman who trusted too much. They stole it. My husband, his mother, they planned it. It wasn't the text that broke me, it was the picture. An old coworker sent it. Ellen's hosting a new home party. Isn't that your place? I clicked the link. There was Ellen, in a navy dress, wine glass in hand, standing by the fireplace I'd decorated every Thanksgiving. The mantel now held sleek vases, not my old photo frames. In the corner, barely visible but unmistakable, was the cedar trunk Dad gave me for my 18th birthday. It sat in Ellen's photos like a prop, stolen from my bedroom. I scrolled through her post, strangers laughing in my dining room, walking on my floors, toasting in my home. The caption, to fresh starts and family roots clinking glasses, #forever ours. They weren't just taking my house, they were rewriting my life. I shut my phone, hands shaking, not with anger but with a hollow ache, the kind that feels like a bone breaking. I went to Chloe's office, my high school friend turned lawyer. She didn't speak when I arrived, just pushed a folder across her desk. Fraud, she said, pointing to the signature. Not yours. The notary's fake too. This won't hold up. I stared at the paper, my name twisted in someone else's handwriting. Can we fight it? I asked. She didn't hesitate. We will. In that moment, the Sarah's apartment smelled like lavender and old books, simple but warm, a place where silence felt like safety, not loss. She didn't pry, just hugged me and said, "You're home here as long as you need." I hadn't cried yet, not when Ellen locked me out, not at the bank, not even with Chloe's folder of proof. But on Sarah's couch, tears came, quiet, sliding down my face. I was good to him, I whispered. I gave him everything. Sarah held my hand. I saw Ethan as a kid, climbing onto the couch with me, giggling during movie nights. He'd called me his safe place, clung to me when Dad died. Now, I was a problem to his mother's plans. I raised him in that house after Dad passed, worked double shifts at the clinic to keep it, miss sleep, miss moments, all to keep those walls ours. Now they partied in my kitchen like I was a ghost. I don't just want the house, I told Sarah. I want my name back. I want the truth. She squeezed my hand. You'll get it. That night, I couldn't sleep, seeing that cedar trunk, Ethan's silence, Ellen's smug grin. They thought I was done. They didn't know me at all. The next morning, Chloe called. Get anything that proves your routine, bills, receipts, anything dated before and after the transfer. They're saying you were unreliable. My blood ran cold. They're already doing it, she added. Later, I took the bus through Willow Creek, past the elementary school where I used to volunteer. Everything looked the same but felt foreign, like a memory someone else owned. At the corner by the old oak, I saw Mrs. Larson, my neighbor, watering her garden. She froze when she saw me. Mia, I thought you moved. I blinked. Moved. She shifted, uneasy. Ethan told the neighborhood what you were struggling, said you chose to sell for your health. My jaw tightened. Ellen's parents? I asked. She nodded. They moved in right after you left. It hit me, the party, the trunk, the silence. It wasn't just theft, it was erasure. Ellen wanted me gone so badly, she replaced me with her family, like I'd never been there. She hated my old photo albums, I murmured. Mrs. Larson whispered. They threw them out. I saw bags by the curb. Something in me broke, not loud, but final. If Ethan was calling me unstable, I'd let the evidence speak. Every receipt, every memory, they'd build my case. I wasn't begging anymore. I was demanding. I hadn't been to St. Mary's Church in months, not since Ethan forgot to drive me to Easter service, claiming work, though Ellen posted family selfies in the front pew. Still, I went now, needing something steady. The church smelled of incense and polished wood. I sat in the back, my body curling into itself. Mia? Pastor Claire's voice was gentle. She knelt beside me. We've been worried. Are you okay? I nodded, barely. Getting there. I didn't explain. She didn't need it. I'm fighting back, I said after a pause. Legally. I just never thought Ethan would let this happen. Claire sat beside me. Kids don't start out cruel. They learn it. From who? I asked. She didn't answer, just said, if you need a witness for court, someone to vouch for your independence, I'm here. Her offer nearly broke me. Not because it was grand, but because it was real, no strings attached. I might, I whispered. The stained glass glowed, casting red and blue across the pews. I'd survived losing Dad, worked through grief, kept our home. I knew how to endure. Now I needed to win. Chloe's office smelled of coffee and determination. She had that look, focused, like she'd just found a crack in their lies. Ellen pushed him, she said, sliding over a transcript. I talked to her colleague. She threatened to take the kids, said she'd get full custody if Ethan didn't transfer the house. Called you erratic, said you'd leave them nothing. I stared at the paper, black and white proof my husband let his mother erase me. I thought he was spineless, I said. Not heartless. Chloe leaned in. She manipulated him. It doesn't absolve him, but it wasn't all his idea. That didn't soften it, it hurt more. He knew I was capable, saw me balance budgets, drive to appointments, yet he chose her over me. Will this help? I asked. Absolutely, Chloe said. Coercion plus a forged signature? Their case is crumbling. I closed my eyes, not in defeat, but in focus. Their lies were unraveling, and I was ready to end it. I hadn't realized how small I'd become, how I tiptoed through life to avoid rocking the boat. But pain shows you who you are. I started walking daily 3 miles around Sarah's quiet suburb, not for exercise, but for motion, for proof I could move forward. I wore my good scarf, styled my hair differently, felt seen again. I haunted the town library, not for books, but for people, for connection. A librarian, Nora, always smiled when I came in. We talked small things at first, then deeper. You've got a fire in you, she said one day. I laughed. Maybe the first real laugh in weeks. Learned the hard way what I'm made of. I got a new phone, a new email, small armor. Chloe noticed. You're different, she said, sorting papers. I feel different, I replied. It wasn't revenge. It was reclaiming myself. The court clerk barely blinked, like family betrayals were routine. She stamped Chloe's papers, slid them back. To me, it wasn't just forms. It was my name, my truth, inked and sealed. We left the courthouse under a cloudy sky, the air heavy with coming rain. Chloe handed me the filing copy. No emergency injunction, she said. Too obvious. We'll enforce it next Saturday. Ellen's big gala. I nodded. Ellen was hosting her firm's 10-year anniversary in my house. Local bigwigs, clients, all invited. She'd toast with my glasses in my home, thinking she'd won. But my presence, backed by law, would change that. They won't see it coming, Chloe said. I clutched the papers, not smiling yet. That would come later. The first call came at 7:45 a.m., an unknown number. I ignored it, knowing it was Ethan. The voicemail confirmed it. Mia, it's me. Something's off with the insurance. They're saying the deed's flagged. Utilities, too. Can you call me? I didn't. The second call came at 11:30. I answered. His voice was strained, fake calm. Hey, have you heard from the bank? Insurance is acting up, saying Tessa's name isn't verified. That's odd, I said, voice flat. He hesitated. Could you help us out? Maybe spot us $3,000? Just until we sort this. I let the silence stretch. $3,000? I repeated, the word sour. For what? Just to hold things together, he said, rushed. We're good for it. I paused, heavy. I'll think about it. He waited for softness, but I hung up. Chloe had warned me. They'd feel the ground shift when systems stopped recognizing their names. Ethan sounded scared, not of me, but of the consequences closing in. The house was rejecting them, and now he wanted me to pay for their mess.
No.
This time, my answer was final. The court clerk's voice on speaker was flat, like reading a menu, but to me, it was everything. Final ruling confirms the deed was fraudulently transferred. Mia Harper remains the sole legal owner of 214 Maple Lane. Chloe glanced at me, silent. I signed the papers, 8 pages, seals gleaming. My hand was steady, pressing my name into the ink like a promise. You sure?
Chloe asked.
I nodded. Sheriff serving eviction at the gala. They're out in 24 hours. Eviction, to my husband, his mother, the people who partied in my home while calling me unhinged. I signed without hesitation, no doubts. Chloe sealed the folder. It's done. Outside, the town moved on. Kids on bikes, a dog barking, but inside me, something settled, steady at last. I'm not angry, I told Chloe. She raised an eyebrow. Not like I expected, I added. I'm hurt, exhausted, but I'm not here to ruin them. You're here to take back what's yours, she said, and stop them from doing this again. We finalized with the sheriff. Quiet, precise. Justice wasn't loud. It was patient, waiting until they toasted in my stolen home, then knocking. I didn't knock. I walked through the open gate, boots soft on the gravel path Dad, and I laid one summer when I still wore pigtails. A banner read, Harper Realty, 10 years strong. Music blared, too bright, too fake. Fairy lights hung where my wind chimes once swayed. People laughed under rented lanterns. Oblivious, they stood on stolen ground. I wore navy, understated but strong. 2 deputies and a court officer walked with me, folders in hand, their silence louder than words. I didn't look for reactions, just for him, Ethan. He stood by a dessert table, chuckling with some investor holding a beer. Ellen was beside him, in a glittering gold dress, untouchable. I moved through the crowd, conversation stumbling as they saw me. The woman they didn't expect, the ghost in her own yard. Ethan saw me first. His face froze, fear flickering, the kind I hadn't seen since he was a kid caught sneaking cookies. Mia, he whispered. I didn't pause, just handed him the envelope. This is for you, I said, steady. He didn't take it. A deputy pressed it into his chest until he grabbed it. Ellen spun, her voice slicing through the music. What is this? What's she doing here? I turned to the hosts, a polished couple with realty pins. I handed them the second envelope, sealed with the county's mark. This property wasn't legally transferred, I said. The deed was forged. This home is mine.
Their jaws dropped.
The court officer stepped up. This event is now an unlawful gathering. You have 24 hours to vacate under court order. Ellen's parents froze, glasses in hand. Someone dropped a plate. Ellen's smile twisted. She lunged. You're insane. A deputy blocked her. Ma'am, don't escalate. Ethan opened the folder, lips moving as he read. Restitution order, Maple Lane. Fraud case hashtag C307. This is wrong, he mumbled. The officer ignored him, turning to me. Ms. Harper, do you require police assistance? I met Ethan's eyes. Yes. Gasp spread, sharp and real. Ellen screamed. You can't. We live here. This is harassment. Ethan stayed silent, frozen, holding the folder like it burned. Guests shuffled out, murmuring, embarrassed. I stood steady, the woman they tried to erase, unshaken. Ellen unraveled, shoving past the deputy. She's lying. This is elder abuse. The deputy stayed calm, unmoved. Step back, ma'am. She turned to Ethan, frantic. Do something. But he didn't. He stood, paralyzed, the folder trembling in his hands. The officer held up the order. This property belongs to Mia Harper. The deed was forged, signatures falsified. Ellen's mother set her glass down, backing away. Her father stared at me, shocked. I wanted to ask, was it worth it? The lies, the party, for one night of stolen glory. But I didn't. I let the law speak. Ellen tore through the papers, screaming, "My lawyer will shred this." The officer held up another copy, the seal glinting. She dropped the pages, defeated. I looked at Ethan. For a second, I saw the boy who held my hand during storms. "I didn't think you'd fight," he whispered. "You didn't think I'd stop letting you betray me?" I said. He looked away. Guests left, heads down, some nodding at me, guilty. The officer closed his folder. "We'll return tomorrow, 7 p.m., to confirm vacancy." Ellen hissed, "You'll regret this." The deputy cut her off. "You're trespassing." I stood on the porch, watching them scatter. Ethan sank onto the steps, like a man watching his world collapse. It was his fire, not mine. The officer turned to me, quiet. "Criminal charges?" "Forgery, fraud, coercion, felonies, prison time." I paused, not unsure, but feeling the choice. I looked at Ellen, still arguing, and Ethan, hunched, broken. They looked small, their power gone.
"No," I said.
"Let them live with it." The deputy nodded. I didn't need jail to make them pay. The truth was enough. Ethan didn't move. I stepped closer, just enough. "I would have given you everything," I said. "You just had to ask. You stole it, and now you've lost me." He opened his mouth, but I turned, boots clicking on the gravel. I didn't look back. The law closed the night. Ahead, my life waited. Not as a victim, not as a wife begging for love, but as a woman who'd found her voice. I didn't go inside yet. I sat in Chloe's car across the street, windows down, watching. The porch light flickered, the one I'd replaced every spring. Ethan and Ellen had 24 hours, but didn't last 8. Shame, maybe, or fear of another public reckoning. They packed chaotically, boxes without lids, bags stuffed with clothes. Ellen's co-workers moved furniture into a van, avoiding eyes. A deputy stood watch, neutral, ensuring the law held. Neighbors lingered, pretending to walk dogs, their stares loud. Ethan carried my cedar trunk, setting it by the curb, staring at it, crying, not for me, but for the life he lost. Ellen dragged a suitcase, her face tight, glancing at me once. I didn't flinch. The sheriff nodded to Chloe. "Property's clear." I shook my head. Not yet. Chloe waited, patient. The house stood quiet, waiting. I'd return soon. When the air was clean, the keys mine again. For now, I watched Ethan slump beside a box labeled Memories, wondering what he'd kept, what he'd let Ellen destroy. The sky darkened, streetlights buzzing, and I didn't look away. The lock clicked, soft, familiar, like the house welcomed me back gently. It was dawn when I stepped inside. No deputies, no Ethan, no ghosts. Just me and a silence that didn't choke, but held me sacred.